All right, today is July 24th, 2020. This is Teresa Hardesty. I'm here with Ann Hardesty, and we're doing a life history interview so we can learn a little bit more about her. We're going to just go through a series of questions and see what she's got to tell us. Ann, start with telling us about when and where you were born.
I was born in Weakley County, O'Bien County, Tennessee, which was Martin, Tennessee. We lived on a farm for a few years, and then we moved to Memphis, Tennessee. And then we took and came back to Union City, waiting for the General Motors was on strike. My dad was going to work for General Motors, and they were on strike in Janesville, Wisconsin, and we moved back to Union City to stay until the strike was over with, because it lasted for a year or so. It was a long time. I don't remember exactly how long it lasted, but then we moved up there, and we had been used to warm weather even in the wintertime, and then all of a sudden it was cold and snow, and it was a different way of that you had to do things. You had to put on snowsuits and boots and everything, which we had never been accustomed to wearing, and there was a big hill by our house, and we used to go sliding down that hill all the time, and it was so much fun.
When were you born? What year?
1939.
And how old were you when you moved to Wisconsin?
I probably was about 6 years old, I guess.
Do you remember the house you lived in on the
yes.
farm in Kentucky or
Oh,
Tennessee?
No, I don't have. I have very little memory of living in Tennessee. I know when we moved to Memphis, we lived in just a regular house. It wasn't anything fancy. But when we moved to Wisconsin, we lived in a big 2-story house. The rooms were huge compared to what we've been used to, and so Mother always told us that we could play wherever we wanted to outside, just be home for lunch.
Yeah.
And so we would play and go over. We could just do most anything, but really our best playground was when we moved out to the river, and it was a wooded area, and we always played cowboys and Indians and built Indian homes, and it was just a lot of fun, and we could run and play. You didn't have to worry about getting hit by a car or anything like that. You just played and until you got tired or got hungry and went home to get something to eat, and then you went back out to play. We lived, maybe not too far from the river, and we could go in the river and swim whenever we wanted to, as long as Mother and Daddy were home, but if they were not home, then we were not allowed in the water.
What river was that?
Rock River.
Okay. Was the water cold?
Oh yes.
Even in the summer?
It never really got warm until August, and then it wasn't really warm then. And it was just so much fun, because we played, and we just didn't have very many restrictions. We didn't have to worry about cars coming by, and
Did you live out on land, or was it in a neighborhood?
it was, well, the river was just like this, and then we had cottages along the river right outside. It just seemed like you just walked out your back door and there was the river. And my brother, he loved fishing, and he used to take and put out trout lines and catch fish during the night, and we were always told not to bother his fishing lines.
Was that Uncle Tom or Uncle Larry?
Uncle Tom.
Did you have any neighborhood friends that you played with there?
There was a few, but we played mainly with ourselves. I mean, we would climb. I was a tree trunk climber. I climbed trees, and I remember one day I climbed up to the top of this tree, and when I woke up, I was laying flat on my back and looking up at the sky. I had fallen out of the tree.
Oh goodness, knocked yourself out?
Yeah, I hit the ground so hard and I just got up and walked home, just like nothing had happened.
How long did you live at that house on the river?
Oh, 2 years, I guess. And then my dad, in the meantime, was building us a house in Janesville, in the city of Janesville, and it was a nice neighborhood. We could play, and it was a developing neighborhood. It wasn't didn't have a whole lot of houses yet, and but it didn't take very long for all the houses to build up around us, and then we played with all the neighborhood kids. We used to, when we lived out at the river, we got a bicycle, and we took and we'd ride our bicycles wherever we wanted to go. Mother didn't come in get us in the car and take us wherever we wanted to go. We either walked or rode our bikes, and in the wintertime that was really something, because they did not take and plow the streets right away. We had to walk to school in the snow, and the tracks that the plows had made.
How deep was the snow usually?
Do what?
How deep was the snow?
Oh
typically?
my gosh, sometimes it was up to my knees.
Oh goodness.
And they didn't call school days off for snow. We just got there. The only ones that were excused from school was the country kids that came in by bus, and the rest of us had to walk to school, or we didn't go to school, but we did. Most everybody made it to school.
So what did your family do to earn money? Did both of your parents work, or just your father?
No, my dad worked at Junior Motors, and then later on, my mother went to work for Sears.
What did your dad do at General Motors?
He was an inspector. He inspected all the cars before they left the plant to make sure that they were up to date and wouldn't be sent back for something that was wrong with it to start with. And he worked for 32 years there, and when he retired, it was kind of sad, because he had plans to do a lot of traveling, my mother and him, but he got sick, and he passed away before he was able to do that. But he took advantage, and he always went to see his mother in Tennessee, and he would come down and see us every year. My mother and him would drive down and see us, and he always enjoyed going. And whenever he'd come to Tulsa, we would go make sure that we picked out places that we knew he would be interested in and go see.
What were your parents' names?
My dad was, his name was Rufus Clifton Burdette, but everybody called him Jack or Red. And
Do you know why they used those nicknames?
I have no idea.
What about your mother?
My mom, her name was Estelle Clark Pruitt, was her maiden name, and they were both very hard-working people. She was the best cook ever. I know there was times whenever she'd go out to the farm. It was a farming community, and she would go out to the farms and buy so many chickens and bring them back in, and she would take and kill them herself because they didn't do that at the farms. That was up to you. That was your responsibility. And then she'd take and stick them in hot water and pluck all the feathers off. And that was nothing unusual for us, but that's the way she grew up. And my grandmother was a great cook too. I was always fascinated about how she always had the best meals ever. And she cooked everything on an old potted iron stove, and I could never understand how she could get such delicious food off of that stove, but she did.
She did it. What would you say, was your family wealthy? Were they poor, or were they just in the middle?
Well, we had everything that we needed. My dad always said that we would have plenty of food to eat. We would always have a house to live in, and we would never have to want for anything that we really needed. If we didn't need it, like we didn't have a TV, we were the last people on the block to get a TV set. But I guess by today's standards, we would be considered poor, but we were rich in many ways. We had each other, and we always had food on the table, and it was just fun growing up.
Did you have chores that you had to do growing up at home?
Oh, well, we always had to wash the dishes after we ate, before we could go outside and play, because we had to be in by dark. So Mother knew that if she said that we had to wash the dishes before we went outside again, we would get it done fast. But that was the only thing that I really remember. Sometimes when Mother was working, she'd tell us stuff to do. Like if we had potatoes for supper, Mother would have me take and peel the potatoes and have them ready to cook when she got home.
Did you go ahead.
And we really didn't have a whole lot of things that we had to do, but my brother took and mowed the yard, and we helped my dad build the house. I can remember one time when it was snowing and it was really icy cold outside, and he would stay outside and put the siding on the house, and my brother and I and my mother would take turns holding the siding onto the house so he could nail it, and then we would take turns going in and getting warm and coming back out. And so he stayed out all that time, and he always did this after a day's work at the plant. And it was just a way of life. That's just the way you did things. You did what your parents told you to do.
How long did your parents live in that house?
Till my mother passed away.
How many years were they married?
Gosh, I really can't say right offhand. They were married a long time, I know that.
Did you have any pets growing up?
Not really. We did have a black dog and a white dog. I can't even remember what kind of dogs they were. They'd come and make their home at our house for a while, and then they'd find somewhere else that they liked better, so they'd take off and go there. We had a white dog in Union City, Tennessee, and then when we moved to Wisconsin, a black dog took up residence at our house, and it was just we loved playing with them, and my brother at Easter time the movie theaters would have parties at the theater before the movie started, and he won a duck and a rabbit, and we had those for a while, and finally when they got so big that our yard wasn't big enough for them, that we took them out to the farm, and that was their new home.
Was that Uncle Tom or UL?
Uncle Tom.
Uncle Tom. What kind of school did you go to? Was it a private school or a public school?
No, public school. Their school system was very good. I went to Adams School. I went to a country school to start with, and that was quite different from what we've been used to. You had to walk across cornfields and to get there, or we didn't have to walk across the fields, but we made it the walk to school shorter by going across the cornfields, and then we'd walk along the highway till we got to the school. And I can remember one time when I always followed in my brother's steps, and we took and I stepped in his step one time, and I fell through the ice on the pond, and the ground was all covered with snow, so you didn't really realize that you were over a pond. It wasn't very deep, but I cut a gash in my leg from the ice, and we continued walking on to school. And we got there, the teacher took all my snowsuit and everything off, and hung it up to dry. And then by the time school was over with, it was dry enough for me to put back on and walk home again, because we didn't have buses taking us to school. We had to walk, and if you lived, some of the way that we had to walk was on the highway, and but we didn't seem to mind it. It was just the way that you did things.
How big was your school? Like, how many kids did you graduate with?
Well, there was grade. Oh, you mean at high school?
In high school, yes.
I think we had the largest graduating class at that time. It was around 300.
Oh, that's big. When you went to that country school, do you remember how many kids were in your grade?
There was the grades were like, there might be 5 in first grade, 2 or 3 in second grade, and then what they would do is she would take, and the older kids would help too, and she had up until, let's see, the kids, I guess, if I remember correctly, it was like they went from first grade to 9th grade, and then we went to downtown to the junior high school. We had already moved into town by that time, and it was I guess there was maybe 25 kids altogether, and that included all grades. And the teacher, they had a celebration for one of her birthdays, and since my brother was the only teacher of all the kids that was coming, he was the MC. He took care of all announcements and everything, and I wrote, since I couldn't go, I wrote her a letter and asked her if she remembered me, and she said, "Oh yes, I remember you," but I'm still, to this day, I just wondered if she really did remember me. So,
Did you have a favorite subject in school?
always loved history. History was my favorite. Should I answer?
Well, it sounds
800 number.
So you liked history. Did you have a least favorite subject, something that you really didn't like?
Oh, let's see. I guess the sciences were the hardest for me, like biology and physics and chemistry. We had to take those in order to graduate, and I just chemistry just wasn't my favorite subject, but I really loved history. So I would spend more time on history than on the sciences.
Did you do any activities in school? Play any sports or in the band or
Oh,
anything else?
we had to take gym in school, and we always played. We played hockey. We had swimming. We had 9 weeks of swimming. We played volleyball, basketball, baseball, or softball, and we did all the sports. We just didn't spend a whole lot of time, on them. But we did have to. The only thing that we didn't have to do was swimming. If we could swim, we didn't always have to take the swimming classes. But everything else we had to take, and it was just so that we would have exercise plus, they wanted you to have a choice if you wanted to go out for sports, that you would know whether you really liked them or not.
Yeah, that's good. You had a chance to try a lot of different things. Do you remember anything growing up, either at school or at home, that you got in trouble for and being disciplined?
It seemed like, no, we didn't. When we would go out on Friday nights, if we weren't home by a certain time, we were grounded, and then we knew better than not to, or try to go out after we were grounded, because that meant that we got double whammy.
When you were a teenager, where'd you hang out on Friday nights?
We would drive up and down. Our town was all one way, and we would they called it the Restless Ribbon, and we would drive all the way around. It was all one-way streets, and so I think they've changed that now. But I remember driving the street. I didn't usually have the car, but one of the girls that I ran around with, she always had a car, and we would just drive around. Just sometimes we would go to parties at school, or go to a play that was at school. We just had school functions, and or to the movies. But the movie theater was huge, and it was always full on Friday and Saturday nights, and you were lucky you could find a seat to sit down in.
How old were you when you learned how to drive?
I was 16.
16. What was your first car?
I didn't have a car until after I got married. My dad let me use his car once in a while, not all the time, because he said that I could walk or stay home.
Do you remember your first date? Did you go on any dates in high school?
Not really. I remember this one boy that I guess you'd say he was my boyfriend, and we would go out, and he had a boat, and we would go water skiing or whatever, and but other than that, we all just went as a group and played, well not played, but did things together. And but one of my funniest memories is one night, Halloween night, we went trick-or-treating, and we went up to this one house that we did not know the people that lived there, and we knocked on the door and said, trick or treat, and he said, where's your trick? I want to see your trick. You have to do a trick before you can get your candy, get your treat. So we come up with some dumb thing, and then for some reason, I don't know, we just became really, really good friends with he was, he lived by himself, and at that time, and he just became part of our family for some reason, because he loved to fish and my brother loved to fish, so they used to go fishing all the time. And I can remember going, when we would go trick-or-treating, we'd always go by his house, but he only made us do tricks the first time. He didn't make us do it after that. And we would come home with a grocery bag full of candy, and I was trying to think, I don't ever remember eating any of that candy. I just know that we had all that candy, and I would assume that Mother probably threw most of it away because we didn't eat candy. It wasn't one on our list.
It wasn't on the list. Do you remember what your trick was you came up with?
No, just something silly.
Something silly. What, when you were a teenager, do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Oh, I wanted to be a nurse or a teacher.
A history teacher?
Yeah, I didn't really, growing up, I didn't really have any desire to be anything other than I loved helping people and doing things for people if could, and they said, well, you ought to be a nurse or a teacher then. So that's what I started out being. That's what I started out being. But when I found out that you had to take all this chemistry and physics and biology to be a nurse, I decided I didn't want to be a nurse.
That wasn't going to work. When you were growing up, do you have any special family vacations you remember?
The only vacations that we ever took was going to Tennessee to see my grandma. And my mother's mother passed away the October that Mark was born. And my other grandmother, she passed away when the girls, let's see, how old were they? They were probably 2 years old when she passed away. And she wanted to always see them. She thought that there was nothing to just jumping in the car and going to her house, which was in Tennessee. But my dad took us a couple times, and we went by there several times on the way home from Wisconsin. But I just thought it was kind of funny how she just didn't think that it was any problem just to get in the car and go to her house.
Yeah.
Where you had to drive like 16 hours to get there.
Right, like it was just a couple blocks away. When you grew up, do you remember, I know you said, I think we were talking about a TV earlier, but any inventions that you remember?
Any what?
Inventions?
No, not really. Let me think. Well, really, the thing that we probably would be more affected by was the TV, because we didn't have a TV set. We were the last one on our block to get the TV, and I can't remember TV, and they went to the moon. I guess space would be the biggest accomplishment that we had people just had, it just seemed like I really can't think of any special invention at all that we had.
I know you said you liked history, and everything you've read about history, what's your most favorite thing?
Oh, I like the Revolutionary days the best. George Washington, and then when he got settled, I've seen his house, and I don't see how they did the things that they did, but they accomplished a lot and developed a lot in their area. And then Abraham Lincoln, I liked him the best. George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, I guess, are my favorites. But I love to watch history movies and look at the books and read the stories about the different presidents and that.
So one last question about your childhood. What was the best gift you remember seeing when you were young?
The best one?
Gift.
Oh God, I guess it would be the bicycles. We got bicycles, my brother and I did, when we lived out at the river. And we couldn't, we had to keep them in the house until spring because there was so much snow that we couldn't ride them. So Mother just said, we'll just keep them in the house, and that way I'll know you won't be riding them. So, well, we did. We rode them everywhere, except we didn't get on the highway with them. And then we went to, moved into town. We would ride our bikes from our house, which was at one end of the street, and go all the way downtown to St. Mary's Church. And they had a bike rack there, and we'd leave our bikes there and walk down the hill to down to the town part, and then we would take and walk back when we got through doing whatever. Like we did that when we'd go to the movies or just to go downtown. I know sometimes we walked. My sister and I would go downtown to see my mother at work on her lunch break, and but whenever we went any place, well, I guess the bicycles would be the best gift that we got, because mainly we got clothes and things that we really needed, not just, we didn't have any wants unless we saved the money and bought it ourselves.
Right. Okay.